6, but we are underway for qualifying here. 10 minutes of qualifying here around Silverstone, as we did a few days ago for the Assetto Corsa Competizione final. We'll be racing around the full Grand Prix configuration of Silverstone, and of course it will be more or less a spec series because all the drivers here will be using the Aston Martin V8 Advantage. That will be between the key specs, so this one packs the new styling of the Aston Martin plus the AMG Source twin-turbo 4.0-litre petrol engine with give or take just over 500 brake horsepower here. Now, unlike the GT version, which is an older spec version, the 2017 version, this car is more accurate because it has the steering wheel on the left-hand side of the vehicle. You will see that if we do get a chance to have a look inside of the vehicles here. So, it will be a 10-minute session here for qualifying. It will be a 20-minute session for race. Final. I'm not sure if it's the round, so it might be the GT final to take place later today. But we also have the race room final as well coming up at 11 p.m. here at the Aramco Sim Arena. So we've got plenty of racing action here. This is the second of 4 races scheduled to take place here in the Aramco Sim Arena. And of course is on Assetto Corsa Competizione. So a little bit about the simulators that we have here that the drivers are using for this race. They are more immersive than anything else we have here within the Aramco Sim Arena. They really provide that step closer to what it's like to actually be behind the wheel of this car. There is full motion as well, and it really moves you around the corners, and it really gives you a sense of what it's like to drive these Aston Martins around Silverstone. So they immerse you in the vehicle because they've got these speakers behind you that you hear everything, and you don't hear anything around you, and it actually sounds like the entire arena is filled with the cockpit noise from these V8s here that the Aston Martin has bellowing underneath the bonnet here. Of course, it is a front engine vehicle, rear wheel drive. We're waiting for the first laps here to be completed. We've almost the last 4 minutes of racing already in this qualifying session here. But the first drivers should be coming across the line to set their times. And we'll see who will be topping the timesheets first of all here around Silverstone. Al-Dasmani runs wide. Alsan also runs wide there through the corner. So that's going to impact his first qualifying lap, but he's got enough time on the clock to at least do 2 or 3 laps, depending on how lucky he is and how fast he complete now his qualifying laps. And we should have the first times across the board, 2:04 for Ahmed Jadid. And it is, well, Tahir who goes quickest of all now with a 2:03.512. He is the man to beat so far. 1/8 of a second is the gap. And it seems to be a lot of drivers did not get a valid lap time in that time round, so they'll have to try at least one more time here to get a valid lap time in. So far, only 3 drivers have put a time in, Tahir, Jadid and Falata, with the gap between the top 3 being separated by 1.1 seconds to the good here around Silverstone. With more drivers now coming across the line, but no lap times being put in. Interesting now, so that means they either cut a corner, run wide, or picked up a penalty via other means. As one driver puts a lap time in, shown as 295 seconds adrift from the race leader. That looks to be somewhat of an error, because there's no way he would have got that time now, unless he's cut a lot of corners and incurred a lot of penalties. It's the only reason why he'd have close to 300 seconds. But that would put him close to 3 laps down from the race leader, if not more than that, come to think of. Actually, we're 6 minutes behind that way. So let's see, 60 seconds in a minute. Ooh, this is going to require a lot of mass here. 120 to 40, there'll be 4 laps. Oh, that's too much math to think about here. 4 minutes to go on the clock here for qualifying for our Assetto Corsa Competizione Marshals final here. And of course, the 10 drivers, or actually 9 drivers who are racing here in front of us today are part of the Saudi Automobile and Motorcycle Federation, and they are the Marshals, who of course are in the orange jumpsuits that you'll spot at the F1 in Jeddah, the E-Prix here in Riyadh, They are the ones that help us go motor racing and the ones that make motor racing possible. If we don't have any Marshals, it's more or less nigh on impossible to go racing anywhere. So of course a huge shout out to the Marshals that are here, not just the ones that are racing, but the ones that are also here watching as well. A huge shout out to you all, as now Ahmed Jadid goes quickest of all with a 2:03.067. Abdulaziz Al Saad has put a lap time in as well of 2.8 seconds off the pace of Jadid at the moment. So 3 minutes to go in the session here. Enough time, give or take, for at least a lap and a half, depending on where the drivers are around the track at the moment. But so far, only 5 drivers, make that 6 drivers, have put a lap time in, as Ahmed has put a lap time in on the 7th simulator, and he goes 5th fastest. Again, prizes for the top 3 here in this Assetto Corsa Competizione Marshals final, and not like our standard finals, we'll have 5 winners. And of course, that final for the race room final will be coming up later today at 11 p.m. here local time. 2.5 minutes on the clock here. Only 6 drivers have put in valid lap times. 3 drivers have yet to put a lap time in. And let's see what they can do now in the closing stages here of qualifying before we set the field up for our 20-minute race here around Silverstone. As I said before, all the cars here are identical, so the only difference that the drivers have here is they have the option to race in automatic or manual gear. They also have the unlimited option here to set up the car the way they feel comfortable. Now, they did have practice earlier on, so no doubt a lot of the drivers here have tweaked their setups so the cars sit just right. And, well, there might be some more tinkering here or there before the start of our race here for the Marshals. 1.5 minutes remaining on the clock, and still only 6 drivers have put a time in. So let's see who hasn't put a time in. Ala Khalil on simulator number 1 hasn't put a time in. Nazi has not put a time in either, excuse me, although his name is spelled differently here in front of it at the moment, so he's not put a time in. And one other driver has not put a time in either. On the looks of it, looks to be the time screen has moved down. It's come back up now, so we can see more of it. Just over a minute remaining on the clock. Here's the man that's currently sitting in 2nd position, Wael Tahir, looking for an outright victory. Unfortunately, did not go his way in the race room final for the Marshals. An incident early on, and then just not looking where he's going after a recovery attempt, and unfortunately collected 2 other drivers, which dropped him down the order, but he was mighty quick when it came to working his way back up into the top 10. So he'll be one to watch out for here, as will Iyad, who's currently lining up on the 2nd of the grid in 3rd position. So he'll start just behind the pole sitter. And that is if the session went. Now, we still have some time on the clock, so we could see one of the drivers further down the field shoot their way up the order to see if they can improve. We do need to find out what has happened to Salah, who's unfortunately not been able to start the race here. As qualifying is about to come to a close here around Silverstone. So this will be the final lap for all drivers. No one's come across the line yet, so still all on one final lap. And for the 3 at the back at the moment, they still need to put a valid lap time in if they want to start somewhere else. As well, Tahir explores what it's like to go off track here. Cuts the grass down ever so slightly. As he is, now where is Wael at the moment? He's now coming through into sector 3. So Iyad comes across the line now. No improvement from him, so he's still 2.6 seconds off of pole. But unfortunately, no more time left on the clock, so he will not be improving his lap time this time round. Let's see what Wael can do, but I don't think he'll be able to improve his lap time here and snatch pole position on the very last lap due to that small off-track excursion. And a few more drivers there across the line. Faisal, unfortunately, does not put a lap time in, or at least a valid lap time in, so it looks like he'll start on the 4th row of the grid. Let's see what Alanzi can do when he comes across the line. Here we're looking at Ahmed here, trying to improve his qualifying position as well. Currently lined up on the 3rd row of the grid in 5th overall, but looking for an overall improvement to work his way into the top 3. So he's through now and into the final corner in qualifying. Now, will he improve? No, he doesn't. He will start 5th here for our race in Assetto Corsa Competizione. I think we still have 3 drivers who have yet to take the checkered flag. One of them is pulled off by the looks of it. No, because Jarded has taken the checkered flag. Khalil is another one of our drivers who's yet to put a lap time in, and he will work his way now through the final corner. And there we go. Now that's what the grid looks like. Abdullah Jarded will take up pole position, while Tahed will share the front row. Now, something to make note here in Assetto Corsa Competizione, that the drivers are instructed during the briefing that they must stay in line because it is a rolling start, and they must stay in the line and position. They must also stay under 60 kilometers an hour here to ensure that there is no penalty incurred, because we saw this in our final a couple of days ago. We actually had a driver disqualified because he was going too fast across the line to start the race. And unfortunately, he did not come through to serve his driver through penalty, and is unfortunately disqualified after just 3 laps of racing here.
10 seconds.
And I said, of course, the competition. So 10 seconds to go before the field will now set off through the final corner, and then it'll be, we'll see the green flag wave. So now it's up to Jarded to wheel the field around here. And it looks like already some drivers are out of position, so no doubt there will be, the race has not gone green flag, and a lot of drivers have gone past the race leader, the pole sitter as well. So that's going to be something very interesting. It's not an aborted start, it is green now, so we are racing here. But for the race leader, Abdul Jarded, it's not the way he would have liked to start the race after that magnificent qualifying session. Well, Taher being shown here. Oh, we've got a driver already losing it through the corners here, and it's already calamities are on the first lap of the race here. Drivers already losing it from the get-go. Slight shunt there from, not Wild, goes into the back of Wild Taher. Interesting how this sorts out here, because no doubt a number of drivers will pick up some penalties, because you see that that's not the starting order. Al-Saud was definitely out of position. Nismani was out of position as well. Abdullah Jarded was on the front row of the grid, but unfortunately got past before the green flag even waved. Iyad is in 4th, with Koyadin in 5th position, while Tahed has already dropped down to 6th position. But let's see what happens now. The system should automate the penalties, because I firmly believe there should be some penalties being dished out, because there were drivers that did not take their correct starting position, as Usmani there meets the wall head on, unfortunately. That was a slight tap from behind. Actually, no, it wasn't. No, it was a tap from the front. Unfortunately, no fault of his own. And there you can see the damage on his vehicle. The bonnet has popped up, and that will certainly affect his aero. He's a little slow through the corners here, taking it a little bit too cautiously. It's on Sunday drive here in your Aston Martins. As a race here for the Marshals, as Abdullah Jarded now up into 2nd position, as Iyad Zamata unfortunately not coming through that sector. Has he? No, he hasn't. He's dropped back as well, hasn't he? Yes, he has. But here is the battle for the lead of the race. Abdulaziz Al-Saud and Abdullah Jarded battling it out for the lead of the race here by 0.3 of a second. And, the first lap is about to be completed. And I'm surprised that no penalties have popped up yet, because there are a lot of drivers that are out of position before the green flag waved, unless the race directors have turned down the penalties. I feel kind of bad here for Abdullah Jarded, who started off in pole position. Now someone's gone into the pit lane for some reason. That is Kurianian, who has come into the pit lane. Now, coming into the pit lane is not mandatory. There is no fuel stops, there's no tyre changes either. No driver has to come in the pit lane. Now, this is going to put him at a deficit, and it's going to put him quite far back as well. Now, he didn't come in to do anything in the pit lane, and there was nothing that said it was a drive-through penalty for that driver. Although, does that look like a stop and go for 30 seconds? Yes, it does, because it says SG30. I can also see there's a red bar on his screen, so he's going to have to come into the pit lane for a second time, and that's going to really impact his race here. Not this man here, though. He's currently circulating in 6th position overall. I see. There was Abdulaziz Al Saud currently in 2nd position at the moment, trying to chase down Abdullah Jadid. The gap extending to 1.3 seconds here in our 20-minute race here for Assetto Corsa Competizione for our Marshals. Racing here this weekend. This is one of three races. We had the first race, haven't we, earlier today in Race Room. This is their 2nd race here at Assetto Corsa Competizione. And of course, after this, we'll move on over to the Gran Turismo Sport Simulators, where again, 10 more of our Marshals will take to the track. And of course, at 11 p.m. local time here, we will have the final for Race Room as well. Well, we should see close to 20 more drivers take to Spa-Francorchamps. Hopefully there is as much excitement as we had in the first race here today in the Aramco Sim Arena. Abdullah Jadid continues to lead by 1.2 seconds over Abdulaziz Al Saud, and then Wael Tahir 4 seconds adrift, and those are your top 3. Iyad there in 4th position. And then we have Faisal in 5th at the moment. He rounds out the top 5 as well. Looking at Ala Khalil here. He is in simulator number 1. Looking to improve his position, but unfortunately falling back from Al-Nazi. 30-second stop-and-go penalty still looming over the head of Yazid. He's going to have to come into the pit lane and serve that. If he does not, he will be disqualified. He should be serving it at least, if he doesn't this time round, if not next time round, as Abdullah Jadid continues to extend his lead here at Silverstone by 3.4 seconds, and it looks like Yazid is coming to serve his stop-and-go penalty, so he doesn't want to get disqualified here. He's going to come in and serve his penalty. And then it's going to be quite a long one as well, 30 seconds. That is an enormous amount of time. Now, where are the race leaders? Well, they're working their way through Sector 2. Actually, they're halfway through. So we might see Yazid actually go a lap down here. So there he is. He stopped 30 seconds. This is going to be the longest 30 seconds of his life. Oh, he has to be careful when he exits as well, because he doesn't want to go over the pit lane speed, because if he does, he will incur yet another penalty. This is Wael Tahir, and he's coming up close to the back bumper of Abdulaziz Al Saud. Now, what the gap is between them is 1 second separate to them here. And of course, now these two will be battle. Now, that didn't look like 30 seconds between the two for that driver, and he's pulled now into where the designated area. So those 20-ish seconds did not count to his stop and go, and he'll have to wait, and he will go a lap down, because through the final corner and across the line now comes Abdullah Jadid, and then behind him is a great battle here for 2nd position between Abdulaziz Al Saud and Wael Tahir. Tahir in striking distance now. He's fighting for the second back, and unfortunately for Yazid, he is losing valuable time here. He's gone down a lap from the top 3, 4th position going past him as well as Iyad has gone through. He comes out of his box now after his 30-second stop-and-go penalty. Just has to be very careful exiting the pit lane. Don't want to overspeed, because if you do, you could incur another penalty, and that's the last thing you want as well. As Wael Tahir has not found a way through yet past Abdulaziz Al Saud. About 2 car lengths separate the two of them here. Heavy into the braking zone. Wael Tahir laid on the brakes, really comes close now, looks to the inside, but Abdulaziz Al Saud shuts the door on him. And oh, it looks like Abdulaziz Al Saud actually has got a little bit wrong there, because Wael Tahir is caught up, and he's caught up by quite a significant margin as well in the braking zone. Look again all over the back bumper of Abdulaziz Al Saud, trying to find a way on the inside as they work their way through into Sector 2. The gap is 0.5 of a second separating these two here. Abdulaziz Al Saud, Wael Tahir battling it out here for 2nd position here around Silverstone. 12.5 minutes remaining on the clock. We fast approach halfway distance as Al Saud runs wide. This allows Wael Tahir to sneak up around him, but they're going to lean on each other. Tahir moved across out wide there by Al Saud. Stays behind him though for the time being here. around Silverstone, looking each and every way, trying to spook him out, trying to pull a false move on him here. Is he going to look to the inside here? He's a bit earlier on the brakes there compared to Abdulaziz Al Saud, as Al Saud runs a little wide here. Tyre sneaks a move on the inside, but thinks better of it. Here he goes, he's going to try and get the cut back again, moves up on the inside, there's contact, and unfortunately while Tahir there, not pointing in the right direction, loses more time here. There's a yellow flag waving somewhere, and it looks to be we have a car that is in the pit lane. Yes, there is another driver that's in the pit lane. Oh, we've got a driver that's been disqualified. That is unfortunate. Didn't see the reasons to why that happened. Unfortunately, we're down now to just 8 drivers, which is good news for Yazid because now he won't be the last driver. But unfortunately, we have a driver that's incurred a penalty, and they have not served their penalty either. And unfortunately, they have been disqualified. So Abdullah Jadid continues to lead. Abdulaziz Al Saud is still out in front of Al Tahir at the moment, as these two still battling for second position. 0.3 of a second is the gap between the two of them. Al Tahir looking each and everywhere that he can try and make a move. Trying to pull a false one here as well. That's probably the best thing he can try and do. Looking to the inside again, but Al Saud shuts the door on him. So he's going to have to try again in the next corner. As he follows him through, picks up the toe again. Not close enough to make a move. Late on the brakes though. Are we going to touch? Yes, we are. And that, of course, is going to drop Tahir back. He has fellow Marshals there. Not happy with some of the moves that are being made. Hands on their head, wondering what's going on here. Need to pick and choose the right opportunity to find your way through. Yes, you can brake late. The last thing you want to do is brake late and go into the back of the car in front of you, because that will slow you down. So Tahir again looking for that all-important position of where he can put his car, where he can put his Aston Martin to find a way through. And again, gets ever so close to the back bumper of Abdulaziz Al Saud, but cannot find a way through. Gap is 0.3 of a second still, separate the two of them. And this, of course, with these two battling, is allowing Abdullah Jadid to escape up the road here by 12.9 seconds. We're now officially into the second half of the race. As again, well, Tahir late on the brakes as he can, chooses the inside line, going to try and get the switch back here, but not close enough to make a move. They lean on each other again, and around goes Abdulaziz Al Saud, but he saved it. And Wael Tahir finally found a way through. Probably not the way he should have done it with contact, but he is no less, he's found a way through. Abdulaziz Al Saud is not going to let that go easy. He's going to want redemption here for that move, because he wants that second position. Remember, prize on offer here for our top 3. In our finals here in Race 2, we'll have it for the top 5. We're playing for a prize pool of 11,000 Saudi Arabian Riyals. Here, more or less, it's just for bragging rights here in the Marshals final here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. As Wael Tahir now tries and attempts to escape the clutches of Abdulaziz Al Saud, and now tries to chase down race leader Abdullah Jadid, but 15.8 seconds. That is a mighty large gap separating the two of them. As it looks to be, Yazid has gone yet another lap down, unfortunately, and no longer in last place. That disqualification there for Ahmed. Not sure why that was, what the disqualification was for. And here's another great battle between Al-Khalil, excuse me, and Al-Nazi, battling it out here for 6th position overall. 0.2 of a second was the gap. It looks like Khalil had the benefit of the doubt there and was out in front, but unfortunately lost it through the corner. And that has upset the car, and he now loses some time here. With almost 8 minutes to go on the clock here, we've successfully elapsed 12 minutes of racing. And for Abdullah Jadid, it is a mighty easy one here for him as well. Now, where is he in terms of track position? Now, he's working his way through the penultimate corner, through the final corner. It's a bit further back to Wael Tahir and Abdulaziz Al Saud, who are a little bit further back. And here is Al Saud, currently sitting in 3rd position, after doing a very hard-fought battle with Tahir not too long ago. Sort of fading off in the distance by 1.5 seconds, but for Tahir, he's not able to catch this man right here, Abdullah Jadid, who leads now by 16.1 seconds. And I may be spotting where he's able to gain additional time, because there seems to be some corners he's cutting ever so slightly. Of course, I'm not the one that sets the rules here. That is the stewards and, of course, the race director. So it'll be up to them and their discretion if they want to penalise anybody for doing anything on track as we ride on the bonnet here of the race leader, Abdullah Shardid, having completed 6 laps in 13 minutes, so that should give us enough time for at least 3 more laps here around Silverstone. Shardid runs wide through the corner there, but still sits comfortably 16.9 seconds up the road from his closest rival of Wild Tahir. Abdulaziz Al Saud sits in 3rd position, looking at the driver there, full focus, but of course that is the default driver will look like. I'm pretty sure if we see Abdullah's real face right now, it's full determination, eyes focused only on the road ahead of him. Doesn't really need to look in any of his mirrors at the moment because there's no one in close proximity whatsoever to the back of him. He may have to start looking forward though, although it looks like there's about a sector separating himself and his first back marker, which it looks to be Ala Khalil. And yes, he would be, although he is not the last driver here. He's the last driver on the lead lap, but he's not the last driver in the field. That, of course, is Yazid, who unfortunately had the stop-and-go penalty and stopped in the wrong place. So, of course, that time didn't count as the gap up front continues to grow. It's up now to 18.3 seconds between Abdullah Shardid and Wild Tahir. But these two still battling here for 2nd position, and it looks like Iyad is starting to catch as well. He's only 7.2 seconds back at the moment from these two, but of course he can close that gap in, especially if these two do battle as they did before. So a potential podium finish here is on the line here for Iyad. I shouldn't say on the line, it's on the table, isn't it? Here for Iyad. There he is, currently circulating in 4th position. As we said, 7.4 seconds adrift from the two that are battling for 2nd position. Separated by 1.6 seconds is the gap between those two here in their Aston Martins. Now, just remember, all the cars here are identical. The only difference, obviously, is the way the cars are set up and if they're using manual or automatic transmissions, and, of course, the drivers behind the wheel of the sim rigs here that are set up and run, of course, by pole position. Here's Desimani, a little bit further back. I'm surprised he hasn't picked up a penalty from the start. Now, I presume that maybe that the reason for the disqualification for Ahmed is for that start line infringement, but we're not sure exactly because we haven't seen really anything pop up on the screen about that. Here is Anazi. He was in a great battle not too long ago with Khalil, and Khalil appears to have dropped back ever so slightly from this battle. He's 4.3 seconds, but he did lose it, and that is probably the reason as to why he is now dropped back in this battle here for what was for 6th position. Up front, though, Abdullah Shardid continues to lead. And here is the man that's right at the back of the field, Yazid, unfortunately 4 laps down from the race leader. Race leader working his way now through the penultimate corner. And again, stretching his lead out now to over 20.7 seconds to the good here between himself and Wild Tahir. Up the road still by 1.5 seconds from Abdulaziz Al Saud, excuse me, as Al Saud is still trying to find a way to catch the back bumper of Tahir here. Still, he is in a podium finishing position, which he'll no doubt be happy about. Of course, after this, we will have the Marshals final for the GT Sport Gran Turismo Sport, or again, we'll be racing with Aston Martins as we are here around Silverstone, although that'll be racing around the Red Bull Ring. Now remember, at 11 p.m. local time here, we will have the final for the race room final, that is. I see a lot of red screens over there, so good to get the teething issues out now. 40 minutes to go before the race starts. I do wonder how many drivers that we have here. But back to the race here that we have. Abdullah Shardid leads by 22.4 seconds to the good of Wild Tahir. And Abdulaziz Al Saud, who we're looking at right now, running in 3rd position overall. Back with now the race leader. Looking at the bird's eye view here of him circulating. It's been a relatively incident-free race, but soon enough he'll be coming up on the back markers. He's only a couple of corners behind at the moment. And just in front of him is Khalil. who is on now the straightaway. So as he enters this straight, is Abdullah Jadid. Khalil is exiting the straight. And then he's got a group of cars that are in front of him as well. But 2 minutes to go on the clock would give us enough time for at least one, if not two laps here around Silverstone. It's shown that 2:03.147 is the best for Ayol Tahir that we're looking at right now. So we may only have enough time now for one more lap here around Silverstone. And it looks like Abdullah Jadid has it in the bag for now. But of course, he still has a couple of more corners to navigate. 3 sectors in total as well here to ensure victory. As this is the view from Abdulaziz Al Saud. Unfortunately, running wide through the corner. That's not going to allow him to latch onto the back of Wael Tahir. So he'll drop further back to Al Saud, Tahir. As again, a race leader really closing up now on the back of Khalil. Doesn't want him to impede his race here, although he has got that comfort of 23.8 seconds, separating himself and second place. And of course, you don't want a back marker to ruin your race, because it is certainly something that could be possible here for Abdullah Jadid, who hasn't put a foot wrong at all. Qualified in pole, may have been overtaken right from the start of the race, but took the lead back pretty much immediately through sector 1 and hasn't put a foot wrong anywhere. And here is the man indeed. And there you can see the back marker of Khalil just in front of him. Now Khalil's going to have to watch his mirrors, as that could have been close there. Khalil looks like he was trying to shut the door on the race leader, not sure why. Trying to take a completely different racing line there. Should follow Jadid here to get a couple of pointers to see how you could do a lap around Silverstone. From the man who has not done anything wrong so far in this race. The Aston Martin looks as beautiful as it did when he started the race here. Not a single paint scratch, not a panel out of place, not even a stone chip anywhere on that car. This car looks absolutely stunning here as he's now into sector 3 for what be the final time here around Silverstone in his Aston Martin. And Abdullah Jadid, who finished on the podium as well in our first race of the Marshals here today, looking for a rather comfortable victory here as he works his way through the final corner. And he is congratulated by his fellow Marshals, and a well-deserved victory there for Abdullah Jadid, as he celebrates by mowing the lawn. Through the final corner now comes Anna Khalil, who will take the checkered flag, but unfortunately won't be second. No, instead, this man here, Wael Tahir, will take the checkered flag and come across the line in second position. As he does now, and Abdulaziz Al Saud will take third overall. Another well-deserved podium there for Abdulaziz Al Saud. What could have been, though, if he had just a little bit more time on the clock and he was able to stay with Wael as well. But a great finish nonetheless. And that wraps up another Marshals final here. We'll have one more, which will take place on Gran Turismo Sport. And then at 11 p.m, we have another final, which is what I'm going to call the grand final of everything, essentially. Because, of course, there are prizes on offer with a prize pool of 11,000 Saudi Arabian Riyals on offer. As the drivers go over to congratulate themselves. And let's grab a microphone and see if we can get a quick word in with the winners. Now, this time, I'll try and grab a translator as soon as I go down to make things a little easier here. As the drivers just chatting about the race, here the results as well. Well-deserved victory, though. So I've managed to find a translator that will assist me. And, well, let's see if we can get a word in with the race winner. I see Safani is here as well. Race winner, first of all, congratulations. That was a great drive there. Pretty much from start to finish, you had it locked in there. There were some few dicey moments, but you seem to have kept it cool. Fantastic drive.
It was a great race. I enjoyed it. I see. I focus on to be on the first, and that's what I do. And alhamdulillah, I win.
Congratulations, and we'll see you in the GT Sport final. Safani, I know that you're racing later, so we can chat to you later. Let's see if we can find second. Where is Tahir? Here he is. You can't escape from the clutches of the microphone. That was a great race. You had a great battle there with Abdulaziz Al Saud. Talk us through the battle that you had there. So I do apologise, we're having some slight technical difficulties here with the mic.
It's his first experience in Assetto Corsa racing. He was actually ninth when he started and he finished with second. So it's actually a great start, a great finish for him. He's really happy to be here. He says thank you to all.
So thank you so much for that. If you could just sum that up once again, because we had some technical difficulties.
It's such a great honor for him to be here. The race went amazingly. He started ninth and he finished at second, and that's actually his first competition, a real competition for him. He says thank you to all. He had a great time with you all, and to furthermore competitions.
Thank you so much there for translating. Now, Abdulaziz Al Saud, you came third. You had a fantastic battle there with Tahir there. Talk us through it from your perspective, because you had the upper hand at the beginning, but then you just it looks like you just kind of lost the rhythm, but you did stick with him.
Actually, I started at P4. There was a bit of a big problem in the start, so I bumped into P2. After that, leaded the race for a couple of laps, and then got back to P2. The P1 driver was super fast. After that, Wael was super fast. I did a couple of mistakes. He caught up. So happy with what I did. Started P4, finished P3. I gained the position, so that's it.
Well, thank you so much for giving us your thoughts. Hopefully we'll see you on the GT one as well. So we'll take a quick break. We'll set up on the other side. Thank you so much for joining us, but we still have two epic races coming away.
Hello, hello, hello.